Youth and the Law.
Hello, my name is Trayvon, and you are watching Youth and the Law. Today we're going to be talking about self-defense and the Zimmerman case. So through our research, we've learned that self-defense, as a definition, can only be used to respond to unlawful force by another person committing, say, a criminal act against you, like assault. The threat needs to be imminent, which means that it has to be present to the occasion, as well as proportional in regards to the degree of force that you use as self-defense to protect yourself. Say if somebody tries to pickpocket you, you can slap their hand rather than, go all out and wail on them because, yeah. Deadly force can only be used when confronted with serious bodily harm or threat of death. Such things like verbal threats are not considered serious bodily harm. So, reasonable judgment, a person responding in self-defense must use reasonable judgment as well. The Canadian Criminal Code section 34 claims that reasonable judgment is determined by elements such as past experience or history with the parties, as well as size, age, and gender. So, I have my two panelists here with me, Isaac and Catherine, and we're going to be talking about the Zimmerman Trial. Now, as most people know about the Zimmerman Trial because it's been on the news for such a long time, where pretty much George Zimmerman shot and killed Trayvon Martin, and he claims that Trayvon Martin had assaulted him, and he claims that he was an actual threat. So, Zimmerman's testimony was that Zimmerman's lawyers claim Zimmerman acted in a class of self-defense. They believed the threat was imminent. They believed Trayvon Martin attacked Zimmerman and smashed his head against the pavement. And they also believed Zimmerman's use of deadly force was reasonable because he was faced with serious bodily harm. The state's testimony was state prosecuting arguing against Zimmerman claimed that Zimmerman pursued Martin and Zimmerman ignored dispatch orders. Thus, the state believed Zimmerman initiated the conflict and that he murdered Trayvon Martin and did not act in self-defense. So, given the two testimonies, guys, which one do you believe in, and given what you know about common law?
I believe the state's testimony because I don't buy anything into what. First of all, I don't buy anything into what Zimmerman said because they did DNA testing on him. When he claimed that Trayvon assaulted him, they did DNA test on Zimmerman and they found no DNA from Trayvon on him. And second of all, he called the police when he seen Trayvon walk by his area, and the police told him not to follow him or not to instigate or do anything. Don't do anything under your own hands, and he disobeyed that order.
What about you, Catherine? What do you think about this?
Well, I also believe the state's testimony because though Zimmerman claims self-defense, a lot of people say that he was the one who initiated the conflict, so he can't also claim self-defense because he initiated it. And also, a lot of witnesses, like their accounts vary, so no one's really sure what happened.
I think I agree with the state's testimony as well, though, because from what I heard, there was from the the phone call that they recorded, yeah, like they did tell him, to not follow this kid, no, don't pursue him, and then he actually did say, he goes, no, they always get away, So I mean, if he didn't pursue him, there would be no conflict, and we don't really know what happened. As just like what you said, Isaac, he said his head was being smashed in the cement.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no evidence of that, or even that he was really being beaten so severely. So Florida stand your ground law popped up every now and then during the trial. From what we understand, the law means someone acting in self-defense does not need to retreat even when he has the opportunity to retreat. The same thing applies in several common law jurisdictions. If someone has the opportunity to retreat, should one retreat? What do you guys think? If someone has the opportunity to retreat, you think they should retreat?
Yeah, they should, but don't retreat in a way that like you cause the person to die or your opponent to die, because then after that it just makes you look bad. And what are the chances of them, the police, or if you go to court, them believing your story over their story?
Oh, but I mean like retreating as in like, you know, like avoiding conflict. If you have enough time, like
Avoiding
completely getting
conflict?
out of the situation.
I say just do what you can to overpower. If you can overpower the victim, I say do what you can to overpower the victim so they don't attack you. Take away the weapon from him, so that way they don't attack you.
Even if you could retreat though?
Yeah, even if you could retreat, just don't retaliate or anything, because it just makes us, you just provoke the situation and it just makes it even worse.
The thing is, I think in certain situations, certain situations, like in the heat of the moment though, like some people wouldn't retreat.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if most people are like in like some sort of conflict with another person, and I mean the other one is not like, you know, one's provoking.
Yeah.
I mean like maybe the average person like wouldn't necessarily retreat. I mean you're gonna be like, there's gonna be a verbal confrontation,
Right.
and that usually escalates. Yeah, I mean I can't say what I would do. It really depends on the situation, because
it really does depend on the situation.
the heat of the moment when people are like, emotions are running high and people are getting mad and everything.
Especially in
you know?
the States too.
Yeah. So outside of the technical scope of law, like, do you believe race influenced the verdict?
It did though. It did. I believe a lot of things played, not just race, but a lot of things played a role in the Zimmerman trial. Like, not only that, just like corruption and like corruption in the laws. Like like we mentioned about the whole stand your ground laws thing. Like it didn't play a strong and effective role as people would expect it would have played. And the last witness that Trayvon called at the scene, they didn't prepare her. I don't know exactly what happened, but like she didn't seem as confident. She didn't seem as confident in the trial.
Yeah, I watched her trial. I mean, she spoke terribly.
Yeah,
I didn't
like
I
the way
didn't,
she answered the questions and everything.
I didn't want to watch the whole thing. I was like, you know, this is too much.
Exactly.
Catherine, like, do you believe race influenced the verdict?
Well, I think in a way it did, not enough to completely side with one, but it influenced some other part, like maybe some witnesses or the jury.
Now, do you believe that, like, see, in other cases like this, do you think that in other cases where it could be like two different races, do you think that, you know, maybe you think that they maybe pull the race card like a little, like you think they might exaggerate
they
it?
Probably do. Yeah, they exaggerate with it, because like the Zimmerman trial, this is not the first time something like this has happened. There was also the Sean Bell case. Sean Bell was a guy, for those who don't know, Sean Bell was this happened a couple of years ago, I think in 2006. Sean Bell, he was driving around Queens and then he stopped at a red light. He pulled out his cell phone to make a phone call. A police officer seen it. He assumed the cell phone was a gun, so then they shot him 50 times. And then 2 years later, after the judge ruled it, and then they acquitted the cop from all the charges. So then he didn't get charged or anything like that too. The same thing with the Rodney King situation. Rodney King, he got beat up by like a group of police officers. A witness also videotaped the whole beatdown and everything, and all those cops got acquitted.
What I'm saying though is, like, do you think that if a case like this were to happen, where it's like two other, like, let's say a black or white or something like that, do you think that it's happened where like the race card may have been like pulled up like unnecessarily, even though when it wasn't?
Yeah, I believe if it were the other way around, where Zimmerman was a black and Trayvon was white, I believe the results would have been completely different.
Yeah, you don't think they would think it's race influenced?
Yeah, I believe it's race. I don't. It's just a matter of right and wrong. It's a bit of racism, but like I believe like it's mostly about like right and wrong. Like, so, because if you have a serial killer, he kills a black person and then he kills a white person.
Yeah.
He should get the same amount of time.
Yeah.
For killing those two people. He shouldn't just get a lot of time for killing this person and 0
Yeah.
time for killing that person.
Well, what's your opinion on this?
Well, there's a lot of racism involved in cases like this. Like, mostly it's influenced by stereotype in our society in terms of race. And some people just assume one race might have more to do with the situation than another based on past events
Yeah.
that could be similar. So it's not necessarily one race's fault, but could just be due to past experiences from this particular race.
Yeah. You know, I know some people where, like, say they know somebody where something's happened to them. They've had a bad experience with like one person of, say, like some culture, and after it's sort of like somehow it affects their trust for a long period of time, which I mean isn't necessarily, it's kind of wrong. It's not really a good thing. So okay, how about if, let's say, what if George Zimmerman had been telling the truth? What if Trayvon Martin like was actually pummeling him? Do you think by murdering him, you think that would be justified if that was true?
It should not. Murdering somebody should not be justified. I don't think that, like, for something like that, I don't believe it should be justified. I don't think that it should be like justified.
So Catherine, if Trayvon Martin was actually pummeling Zimmerman, you think the murder would have been justified?
It would come into the issue of proportionality and whether the degree of violence used against Zimmerman was actually in need of such a violent response. I don't think the murder was justifiable, but Zimmerman made it seem like he was very seriously harmed, which...
When he wasn't.
Yeah.
So do you think, how about, do you guys think that the reaction from, like, the community and the states would be as strong if say like the races were the other way around? Because like the race seems to be a big part of this. Do you think that it would still be as strong? You think it might still be considered a hate crime, or do you think, I don't know. What do you think?
It depends. If it were the other way around and Zimmerman got sentenced to like 30 years or so, then probably I think people would react to that.
Okay. Well, anything else? Anything else you want to add to that?
Well, like, I also want to, there's also something I also discovered while I was reading up on the Zimmerman trial and everything else, was that, like, his dad used to be a judge. And in a way,
Do you think
the court system, like the system the law system in America, it seems to me like it's not just like the race card and everything, like it's so corrupted.
You think that might have given him an advantage in the system?
It would have given him an advantage in the system.
Yeah.
Because, like, there are certain, even when cops, in the States, when they get into trouble, somehow, like, they make deals with lawyers and judges to reduce their sentence or to get them acquitted or to get the charges dropped.
You think his father being a judge?
Well, this could have affected Zimmerman in some way if he had known prior to this event what could happen and the consequences of his actions.
Yeah.
So perhaps he would have had an advantage that he knew the ways of the law and how it could affect him in the future.
So I'm not sure if you guys remember. Do you remember when I think it was Trayvon's friend? It was his friend when she came up to speak. Do you think that if she had done a better job, like a better job, you know, like what's the word? A better job, you know, responding.
Yeah.
You think the case could have went a completely different direction?
Yeah, it could have went. It could have went in a completely direct. It should have went in. It would go in a complete direction.
Yeah, because I was watching that and I thought it was terrible. Like she was like one of the only witnesses, if not was she the only one? She was one of the last people to see Trayvon.
Yeah, and speak to him. And then
she wasn't cooperating.
She wasn't cooperating. And then like when Zimmerman's lawyer was asking her questions and stuff, she couldn't. She was just like mumbling her answers.
Like it seemed like she didn't. It seemed like she didn't even want to be there.
Yeah,
Like, it really
exactly. It seemed like she didn't care.
Uh-huh.
It seemed like she didn't care about the whole thing.
Yeah, I personally think if she had like a better attitude about the whole thing, then
exactly.
it may have changed the case around, because like even like halfway through, not even halfway through, when she was just the way she was responding and how uncooperative he was, like you could see Trayvon's family,
exactly,
like the
and
father was breaking down, because like they're just
especially
like this is our one hope.
Yeah. And like the lawyer, especially when Zimmerman's lawyer asked her the question, like when the whole situation went down, why didn't you call the police? She said something about, oh, I thought they were supposed to find and locate me first and stuff. As soon as she said that, I just stopped watching the video.
I had to stop watching the video.
After she gave that answer.
It was. Have you seen that video, by the way?
I don't think so, but it sounds like she didn't create a very positive image for her side of the testimony. So if she doesn't present a convincing argument, then they can't expect people to side with them, because they're not arguing their point.
Yeah, another thing that played like another thing that affected the case was the juries. Like the juries, most of them were white ladies, and then I don't feel like they took the time to just like to look at the situation to give a reasonable judgment for it.
So you feel the whole case was sort of like corrupted in a way?
Yeah, the whole case was just corrupted in a way. And like even when the situation first happened, like after the shooting happened, the police took their time to arrest Zimmerman. Like his parents, Trayvon's parents, had to go and file a police report, and the police took their time to go and arrest Zimmerman to bring him to court and everything else.
So okay, well, what's your whole opinion on this stand your ground thing? Like, when do you think lethal force is necessary? Like, when do you think that it's even necessary? Like, what's your opinion on that?
On this the whole stand your ground. After seeing that, like the Zimmerman case, I believe that like the U.S. just made a complete big joke about the whole stand your grounds thing. They just made a complete big joke about the whole.
Yeah, because it can be abused.
Yeah, they abused.
You can abuse it.
It was abused in the Zimmerman case. It was abused to its fullest.
What's your opinion on the stand your ground case?
Well, it varies in different situations. Like sometimes it can go against the original ideas of the people who made the law, but it really depends on the situation, whether it's suitable, and it depends on the people as well. And sometimes, like, it's better to avoid conflict, but you need to make sure you know what you're doing.
So, I mean, do we all think, had this case happened in somewhere like Canada, you think it would be completely different?
Yeah, it should. It would be reasonable. It would be a reasonable case.
Because there are different laws
in Canada. It would be judged righteously.
Definitely. I agree too. I don't know. Florida, the stand your ground law is kind of iffy, because I've already heard of cases where people have tried abusing it.
Exactly. Yeah, I heard about this whole other case about that too. There was this lady, she claimed that her husband was abusing her. And then she fired, and then she said how she fired shots in self-defense. She shot him in self-defense. But then they pulled out, as the case was in the court, they pulled there was a recording tape that showed how the husband showed it was the other way around. They showed how it was the other way around.
So she was the one threatening him, abusing him.
She was the one doing that to him. And there were and she said how like she fired shots into the ceiling for warning shots, but that didn't happen. The shots were flying towards the wall. It hit him twice, and it almost hit one of the kids too.
Did she have a reason for that, or
no? Like
it was
just
like, abuse that just escalated to that.
Yeah, just just like the relationship abuse and stuff.
So
But she got rightfully the court, like the whole case, it went well. It was rightfully judged and everything else. They looked well into the case. But when it got brought up to the media, they made it seem like it was ridiculous.
So that was our show for today. Thank you, panelists, for coming. And thank you for watching. You've been watching Youth and the Law.